I'd like to thank Juliet Peters of Framework Legal for joining us on this Delta Business Bite about legal landmines, also known as contract gotchas.
This is another one that gets quite confusing. What is a license in contractual terms?
Okay, so what I like to talk about in this case is because people who make regular run-of-the-mill business contracts often don't think about intellectual property as a thing, but it is a thing. So let's say that you're a sales agent and you sign an agreement to be a sales agent for, I don't know, a SaaS company, okay? And the SaaS company sends you all of these marketing materials, right? That you are now going to use, and they may be virtual, but they're marketing materials nonetheless, right? Mm-hmm. That stuff is intellectual property. So when you have any kind of an agreement, it's likely that there is some intellectual property going to be changing hands. Like, you might be putting up someone's logo on your website, right? You want to get permission to do that. And that's a license. That's all a license is. It's permission to be able to use intellectual property during the term of the contract. If you look at one of the most kind of famous examples of this, a franchise, right? So a franchise is in effect a big contract, right? And one of the things that you get when you open a franchise is the ability, the right, and the license to use that trademark. The trademark doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the franchisor, but you're getting a right or a license to use it. And that license only goes during the term of your contract. In the case of a franchise, it might be 5, 10, 20 years. In the case of a regular agreement, it might only be a year. But almost every single contract that I can think of has some piece of intellectual property. When someone is giving you something to use, you need permission for that. And when you're giving someone else something to use, you need permission for that. And a lot of times what I see is when I'm dealing with creatives, right, in the creative spaces, not only do you want to make sure that you have a license, but you want to make sure that you have language that says, hey, I get to use this, the stuff I'm making for you, for example, a logo belongs to you, and the minute you pay for it, the ownership changes hands, right? Mm-hmm. Because I bought it. It's what's called a work made for hire, right? And that's other language you want to have in the agreement. But then what happens is, if you want to then use it, say, for example, in a portfolio, you need to have a license back to do that. And it would be a very narrow license, right? You would say it would be non-revocable. I mean, it would be revocable. It would be royalty free. You couldn't transfer it. You couldn't sublicense it. But you, with their permission, get the ability to be able to use it, say, in your work portfolio. Again, that's another form of a license. It's just a permission to use something that does not belong to you.